So, I was very excited to see this game in my little list of the games I'm reviewing for Itchio, because this is a game I've been fascinated with for decades. Um, it was originally invented in 1970 by a guy called Conway, which is why it's called Conway's Game of Life. He was a mathematician, and he designed this to show how complexity can arise out of some very simple rules. It's an important concept for mathematics, and the game is called Game of Life, so as you might imagine, it's an important concept for life as well. To understand things like abiogenesis, how you can get the complexity of life out of these, relatively speaking, simple chemical interactions that physics allows. So, yeah, let me show the game to you. This is the game's play space, this black square in the center. It's actually a grid, and you can click on the grid to turn a cell from dead to alive. So a white cell is alive and the black or empty cell is dead. Now, each of these cells has a set of 4 rules that is interacted with. It's tested every single game tick or step. So if I press play, the game starts going through ticks, and each cell is checking its alive or dead state and applying the rules. These cells, because they don't have any neighbors, will disappear, because a cell that has one or less, one or no neighbors, dies as if it's underpopulation in the area, so they'll just die. Now, if a cell has 2 or 3 neighbors, so if we do a square, this is now a stable shape, because each of these cells has basically 3 neighbors and the squares around it. So if I press space to play, the simulation continues because these cells are alive, and these extra ones that I just clicked down here are obeying those same rules. So we'll come to further. So ignore that for now. Now, if an empty cell has 3 neighbors, it becomes alive. So a dead cell, but if it has 3 living neighbors, then gets filled as if the life is spreading. So if I do 3 in a row, and we look at each of the cells in turn, you'll see the 2 end ones only have 1 neighbor, so they will die. But the middle cell has 2 neighbors, so it will live. And the cell directly above the middle and directly below the middle have 3 neighbors, so they will become alive. So you now have a moving shape, because if you press play to start, each turn, each tick, 2 of the cells become alive and 2 of the cells die, and then the next turn the other 2 cells become alive and the first 2 die. And now you're starting to see sort of complex behavior emerging out of these relatively simple rules. And it can get even more complex. There's a moving shape. The smallest moving shape is called a glider, and it's 3 cells across, 1 down, and then 1 in the middle there. You might have seen this shape before. It's often used by sort of hacking organizations and the like to demonstrate they're part of that sort of mathematical and fundamentally sort of interesting crowd. But now if we press play, you can see that each of the cells are obeying the same set of rules, but the complexity of a moving shape emerges from the simple rules. So as the cells die and as they become alive, the group of cells as a collective moves across the space. There is actually a variant of this game where the playing field is split in half, and you have live cells of 2 different colors, and 2 players can play competitively, where player A places his cells in the bottom, player B places his cells in the top, and they place these shapes that then fire gliders out across the playing field in various directions. You can actually make a shape that creates gliders and fires them off over and over and over again with a line of gliders. And so they try and disrupt the cells of the other player and dominate more of the board, and eventually After a certain number of turns, the number of cells of each color are counted, and the player with the most cells wins. So that is the sort of competitive end of Conway's Game of Life. I actually first came across it in a fantasy book where they had a mechanical version of the board and played against each other. It was an interesting idea. Anyway, so that is the basic idea of the game. This dev just built it as a personal project. He seems to be in development class of some sort. I recommend going to have a look and giving the dev some love. Hopefully he will develop this further. It would be nice to be able to hide the instructions and see a little ticker counting the movement of the when the turns are active, because I cannot tell if this is on or off without sort of drawing something. It's on at the moment, and now I can draw there. And it would also be nice to have a sort of set of the more complex shapes that you can just place down onto the board somewhere. So that might be another idea. But anyway, there will be a link in the description below. Go have a look. If you liked this video talking about this amazing little game, please give me a like button. If you want to see more videos about Itchio games, and probably not Itchio games in the future, subscribe. And please leave me some comments. Talk about your favorite games and what you want to see in the future. I would love to hear from you. So yeah, leave me some comments, and I hope to see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.